What's up? Welcome back to It's Lit Book Reviews. This is the show where we discuss all things books. I am Frozone. With me, as always, is Syndrome. Your nemesis at a. Oh, brother. Dude, I think I could quote all of The Incredibles, actually, now
That's a
that I
great
think about
movie.
it.
I feel like it's kind of underrated today's day and time.
It's so good. And now on the internet, people are like rediscovering the lore of The Incredibles, talking about like Gamma Jack and things like that. It's pretty
Yeah.
wild. That's not what we're here to talk about, though. We're here to do. We haven't done one of these in a while, but we're going to recap. I guess November. November's not over. I'm probably going to squeeze another book in, honestly.
I
So,
think I am too. I
but here
believe
on
in
the
myself.
25th, as a recording, we're going to go over what we've read in November. A couple of snoozers, maybe. A couple of highly anticipated pieces, if you will. So quite a few things to discuss here, man. But overall, before we get into it, I mean, how has November treated you? How was
This
the
month
month
has
of
kind of been the month
thankfulness?
I got back. And a lot of it had to
Same.
do with some releases that we were looking forward to reading.
He's
But
back.
yeah, because I was looking, dude. I guess in October I read three books, but I read one book in September. I mean, that
Dude, I
is
was
absolute tragedy.
I was not
That
going to
that doesn't
expose
feel
you like
real.
that because you just said that before we started recording. I wasn't going to say it, but one is
Well,
tough.
so right now I'm at 39 books, and I'll finish a book tonight. If not tonight, tomorrow. So it's on this list as well for me today, but I'm kind of cheating a little bit. But so I'll be at 40, and I mean I'm kind of behind schedule. I on Goodreads I put my goal at 42, and dude I've been crushing it all year, like 3, 4, 5 books ahead, and then I mean, got engaged, been planning the wedding and all that stuff. That's what I'm just gonna use as an
Dude,
excuse
or a drop.
or a drop, but because I always want to try and get to 50, so we'll see. I mean, 10 books in a month, get to 50. But
I
meanwhile,
believe.
what are you at? You're at like
Well, after you dropped
47 or
that
something.
aura on me like that, I have to drop a little of my own. I am at 56. I
You're
am
at
going to hit my goal
56?
for the year. Yeah.
Bro, I thought you were 46, dude.
Oh
Whatever,
no, I'm
man.
at 56. I'm 4 books away from the goal with like 5 or so weeks left. So I'm in there, bro. Unless a tragedy happens and I end up hospitalized for most of December, I should make it.
Dude, honestly, if you're hospitalized, you might get 10
Yeah,
more.
that
Like
might be better.
it'd have to be with your eyes, dude. If you went blind, I mean, I wouldn't wish that upon you, obviously.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would hope not. Maybe I could learn Braille. I don't know how quickly, but either way, yeah, I'm at 56, so I'm feeling good about it. This was a good month, though. I read 6 this month,
It's
and
huge.
that's not been the case all year.
And you think you'll get one more?
Depending on,
Kind of.
I haven't started another book since I finished the last one yesterday.
There's 31 days in November though, so
I mean, that extra day will do
no,
it.
there's not. There's 30. I lied.
Appreciate that.
Um, but anyway, all right. You want to go first?
Sure, I can. So I'll just say the ones that I read alone,
Yeah.
and I'll say we said least to best. So I have
It's your least
four.
favorite book.
Yeah, I have 4 that
Right.
I read that you did not. So my least favorite that I gave 3 stars is the Symposium by Plato. And I
I
mean,
don't even
3
know why you
stars
do this kind
is,
of stuff to yourself.
I mean, I've read a lot of ancient history this year, and I'd like to get into some more of the sources, things that are referenced in ancient history when you read, a regular ancient history book on a certain topic. They reference things like Plato's work, Aristotle's work, you know, ancient historians' work. And this is obviously not strictly nonfiction. This is a dialogue, essentially, from Plato. And I hadn't read any Plato. I have more Plato that I've saying Plato over and over. I just
That is crazy.
I keep thinking of actual
Yeah.
Plato. Um, Jeez, dude, we're so dumb. Which is probably why this was my least favorite book I read this month. Is because, dude, I'm just too. I mean, I'm picking up some of the stuff that's probably more obvious, but I mean, the way they're talking, and it's just you're not used to it. And I haven't read really any ancient sources at all, like straight from the horse's mouth. I think that's the correct usage of that phrase. But it was fine. It's Socrates is there, and it's a handful of ancient historical figures that I've read about before. Like Alcibiades is there towards the end, and some others. So it's interesting, and I've seen the Symposium referenced before, but it didn't blow my hair back. I don't. And I'm not saying that any ancient writing would necessarily, because it is just kind of hard to break through sometimes.
Is it philosophy or is this like
Yeah,
an
it's
account,
basically
like a
you're
historical
basically
account?
getting you're basically no, it's basically them having a conversation that's philosophical, and it's all about love. It's this handful of different guys all giving praise to love, and then Socrates goes last, and his kind of flips everything on its head to a degree, and then Alcibiades comes in drunk and has this weird thing where he talks about trying to be Socrates' lover, but Socrates denies him. It's this weird thing that happens at the end that I've seen referenced in ancient history before, and there's more too than what you're just reading on the page because there's the context of what was going on when it was written. But yeah, it's essentially philosophical just about love, and it's just it didn't blow my hair back. And I'm not into philosophy, but the thing about reading ancient philosophical stuff like this is it really, people say that like the philosophy of the West, which we live in, a lot of it comes from ancient Rome and Greece and a lot of stuff like this, um, at least in theory. And you read it, and it makes sense when people say, yeah, that's like the foundational elementary base of our philosophy now, because some of it does feel so elementary sometimes, not in the sense that, oh, we're so much smarter than Socrates, but we're just so far advanced, and we've had things like the Enlightenment and Christianity, Islam, all the different things that we now have in our minds that kind of inform and expand the mind, that sometimes they're talking about stuff and they do it in this way that seems so complex. But it's kind of like that thing I read, and I know this is totally different because it's not ancient at all, but it reminds me of As a Man Thinketh. It's just the simplest stuff. Like, if you don't have bad thoughts, you'll probably be happier. It's like, okay, wow. Like, we're beyond that now. You know what I mean? We have jobs. We're living in capitalist America. Yeah, we get it. Think happy thoughts. But so anyway, it's not quite that elementary, and I'm not meaning to insult those works. I know they're important, but it was fine. But it didn't make me want to dive into more Plato.
Yeah.
So that was kind of long winded. But the Symposium by Plato, 3 stars out of 5 for me. Next up is, lo and behold, ancient history. This is 10 Caesars, Roman emperors from Augustus to Constantine by Barry Strauss. It's a fairly newer book, came out in 2019, but it is what it says it is. He takes 10 emperors, starting with Augustus, ending with Constantine, and gives a very, very brief overview of the history of each of those and the importance of them as far as their time as emperor. Um, I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads. I think 3.5 or 3.75 on Fable. So again,
Okay.
3.5, 4 star book. It was good. It was very bird's eye view general. So kind of the first half of the book, which is, he talks about Augustus, talks about Tiberius, and a couple others that I've read enough about to where the general, view is not as interesting just because I've already read about it. But it's also nice to reinforce stuff that you've already learned. That's something we've talked about with nonfiction. When we went on
Yeah.
our World War I tear earlier in the year, we talked about how well reading similar things can just enforce that stuff you already know. So again, I enjoyed it. It's a shorter read. 3, 4 stars out of 5, 10 Caesars.
Would that be a good primer for someone who hasn't read anything about?
Definitely. Yeah, that's a good point. If you haven't read any ancient history, it's one of the top starting points, I would say, especially if you just want a general overview of what the emperors of Rome looked like. So yeah, I would highly recommend it to someone beginning in ancient history. But next one for me, Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, really short book. This I'm starting to realize why I was able to finish 6 books this month, and it's because I read Of
Your
Mice and
average
Men,
page
which my
count.
copy was like 50 pages. It was like a bunch of words on each page. So like the regular edition is 90 or 100 pages, but this was just it was the way they
I didn't
printed it.
realize that book was that small.
Yeah, again, my it's like half the size of the normal printing because it's like a cheaper version that I bought. It was like $6. So I mean, there's no flourishes, nothing really going on. It's just the words on the page and not very much room for margin. But anyway, obviously, a very famous book by a famous author, one of our good friends' favorite author. So I hear about him a lot from people I talk to about books. And I've only read The Grapes of Wrath before this by Steinbeck. And I liked it, but it didn't really hit me the way it hits a lot of other people. It was just a bit dry for me, and that's probably because I'm dumb. But Of Mice and Men was really short, and I also enjoyed the writing a bit more. He's got a way, man, with his prose, his the way he delivers things, and kind of just I mean, it makes you feel like you're in this lived-in setting. He has a way of doing that. This book is also just extremely sad. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was so sad.
I just read the
The
first
ending.
paragraph of the description, and I'm like, I mean,
Yeah, it's a very,
what a
you know,
setting.
it's with this and The Grapes of Wrath, the 2 books I've read by him, it's just very normal stuff. It's obviously not our era, so it's not what we're used to, but for the context
Yeah,
it's being written in, you're just following very normal figures that are going through normal things, which I like. It reminds me of, like, Stoner by John Williams, which was an amazing book. But anyway, Of Mice and Men, great writing. I gave it 4 stars out of 5. I'm definitely going to read more Steinbeck. It made me want to commit to something a little longer, maybe, or at the very least, read some more of his short stories. I know there's some books out there that have multiple in one, so God knows I'll end up purchasing something like that um, in the near future. So the last one, and this is my favorite overall, even including the books that you and I are going to talk about that we both read. This is my favorite book I read in November, and this is Ghost Soldiers. I just finished it yesterday. Ghost Soldiers, the epic account of World War II's greatest rescue mission by Hampton Sides. This is the third book I've read by Hampton Sides. I read,
same.
what were they? Hellhound, On His Trail, The Stalking of Martin Luther King Jr., and The International Hunt for His Assassin. Amazing book, but my favorite book by him, even still, On Desperate Ground, which is a book about the war in Korea, the Marines at the reservoir, the Korean War's greatest battle. So he's a great author. This is the third book I've read by him. Ghost Soldiers. I still gave it 4 stars. I think a 4.25 on Goodreads, but just a great book. Not super long. It was like 350. It's been a while, especially with all the ancient history and different nonfiction stuff I've read this year. It's been a while since I've hit some World War II just stories. And that's what so
Yeah,
much of the World War II history,
little
because
side
there's just
quest.
so much. It's just all these different little side quests or just things you never. I mean, World War II was so big and all encompassing, and I know that's going to blow people's minds. Obviously, that's not an original thought, but there's just so many different stories. And
Yeah,
this platoon did this on this day, and it's this whole wild thing that you would never know about unless you read this random 350-page book. But this specifically is essentially about American soldiers that are POWs of the Japanese in the Philippines, and it's got to do with the March of Death. I mean, dude, it's horrible. It starts out with a bunch of these POWs in the Philippines getting slaughtered by their Japanese captors. Kind of reinforces, not to go too deep, it kind of reinforces the fact that, I mean, everybody's brutal in war, but the Japanese in World War II, I mean, you read all these things. Maybe it's slightly American propaganda. I don't know. But some of the worst things you hear about are what the Japanese do to their prisoners of war during World War II. Obviously, the Germans did something very similar that we're all familiar with, but it's just wild to read about what these people do. And again, Americans, everybody did horrible things, but this is just what I happened to read about this month. But yeah, it's just terrifying to think that you could be a young kid and end up a prisoner of war in the Philippines
oh
and
god.
getting stuffed into a crawl space and lit on fire with 150 other, of your American brothers that you've been a prisoner with for 2 years or whatever it may be. And then the things some of these guys went through to get rescued. I mean, the rescue mission alone, it was just, super wild. And one of those honorable things you read about where basically this whole, I think it was like 120, 150 guys at the start are involved in this rescue mission. Only like 2 people in the upper echelons of the American military even know that it's going on. So they're in some situations sometimes where they could get killed by their own team, by like American pilots or whatever it may be. And to a man, they all had the option to go, and it's the classic story of how every single one of them, I think it was 120, were like, "No, we're doing it. We're not backing out." You know, they wanted to go save these guys that were prisoners of war. So it's just a great story of true heroism where people risk their lives to just help their boys. Which I mean, how can you not like that? So
Mm,
a little bit above 4 stars out of 5 for me. Ghost Soldiers by Hampton Sides, and that wraps up the ones that I read in November on my own. And Ghost
okay.
Soldiers again is my overall favorite of the month. So what you got,
Really
big dog? Yeah,
shocking.
yeah. It's not going to be one of
So
the other two.
I I I've read three, and one of these, the one I'll start off with, still solid book. I think overall, maybe my reading experience was, I don't know. This book, the first book on my list is Operation Chiffon: The Secret Story of MI5 and MI6 and the Road to Peace in Ireland. So this book only has 296
That's a
ratings. So
mouthful.
this is, it is.
Ooh,
I
that's a
read,
deep
the
cut too.
subtitle. This is one of your. This is something you do sometimes, where it's like, oh, it's got
Yeah,
12 reviews. Let's ride. So
yeah.
I'm not done with it yet, but I have like 60 pages left. It's been a quick read. It's like roughly like 400 pages, but anyway, Riley and I, my fiance, are going over to Ireland to get married at the beginning of this year, and so it's just kind of sparked this new, trend of wanting to kind of learn more about what's going on there. This is the second book I've read now about just the tension between Northern Ireland and just all the complexities that are going on, especially in Northern Ireland. So
And that's
it's been
crazy.
fascinating, honestly, to read about.
Yeah, it is, and I know it'll lead you to some other ones, but before you get there, speaking of you going is that your first time you'll be going to Ireland?
Yeah, I've been to. I mean, I don't want to flex,
Well, that's what I was
because
asking. I was like,
sometimes
how many
people think
countries
that
will
like
that
I've
be?
never.
How many countries exactly
Yeah,
will that be that you've been to once you go
it's.
to Ireland? Are you hitting
I
30
don't
yet
know.
that you've visited?
It might be my first, dude. I don't really have a lot of context. This is a deep cut for someone who probably will actually watch this video because they
I
seem,
hope so.
like maybe a great person, but also potentially needing to be on medication. But
Oh, jeez. Mm.
anyway, that's get in the comments, people, and you'll figure out what we're talking about. But anyway, this is by Peter Taylor, and I'm excited, seriously, to go to Ireland and read about some of this stuff. I didn't really know about the Troubles, which was like a period within Northern Ireland. Just when the Catholic and Protestant groups are. I mean, there's all these unionist people. There's people who want the Isle of Ireland to be whole. There's just so many factors, and dude, this is the classic example of Great Britain just like knowing information and just allowing certain things to happen and pushing and nudging
Mm,
things that just once it gets exposed, like kind of things that actually happen, it's just like, can you trust any government? Because they're just doing stuff that is so messed up. And it's on both sides. Like the IRA definitely is doing tons of really bad things, but it's been eye opening. So this Operation Shifton is all these double agents that are double agents that are going kind of behind closed doors and arguing for peace that eventually does end up happening in Northern Ireland. But anyway, Operation Shifton, it's been good, but it's not nearly as good as another one that I have on here, which may end up being one of my favorite books this year. The next book I have on here, which is one that you've read, and I can't remember when you read it, but it's Hannibal, Rome's Greatest Enemy by
mm,
Philip Freeman. This was an amazing book. Like I
yeah,
I to be clear, I audibled this book and I did it in a day. Um
nice.
Page wise, I can't remember how many pages it was. I did look on here, but it was I usually listen around 1.7 and it was like maybe a 5 to 6 hour audible. And I was driving back down from Nashville back down here to Atlanta. And dude, it's just so good. I have done some other. Me and you both did the Julius Caesar and Augustus books. I can't remember if either of those were by Philip Freeman. One of them was Anthony Everett, I think. But anyway, um, dude, I just he's referenced all the time, especially from Napoleon and others with the whole going through the Alps with elephants. But
Mhm.
dude, I would recommend this honestly to like almost any guy, and I'm sure there are girls would like it too. But this is
Yeah,
like your classic like guy, like
yeah,
a leader that's like, dude, this guy's sick, and
yeah.
especially against all odds kind of person. And I don't want to say it's alternative history because it's not, but he's just someone that you kind of hear about, but it's like, wait, who is that guy again? Like if you're not like
Right.
in tuned, but he's
When you're
someone that
usually
any
reading
guy.
about it from, like, the Roman perspective and in the
Yes,
context of Rome, because that's
yes.
he was Rome's greatest enemy.
Exactly. And I just think this too would even be almost a good starting point to get people interested in stuff. Like I would like to see what Tom would think about this because it's a very
Mm,
short read, but you get a lot of perspective on Rome. Like obviously it's about Hannibal who's from Carthage, not Rome, but you because his whole life is against Rome, you really find out way more about Rome than you really almost do about Carthage and the Carthaginians, but the story is just almost unbelievable. Like some of these guys, dude, their lives like Caesar, it's just Julius Caesar. That is, it's like, bro, you almost don't even want to believe it because so many of these things happen where it's just like we talk about it, off air all the time. But dude, the aura had to have been insane. I mean, these guys are just
dude, we talk about aura nowadays, and we don't know what aura is because
dude.
the level of control and sway that men like Julius Caesar had over specifically their armies is just
Oh
truly
my god,
wild. It's unheard of nowadays.
it is.
And obviously he
It
ended up getting
truly is.
assassinated, so
But
it didn't permeate into everything, but the aura was still off the charts.
it was in this story. I didn't really know how it was going to end. I knew that he was, seen as one of the greatest like military generals of all time. Um, but I mean, I learned a lot. It was a quick read. I mean, this was an easy 5 star for me. I don't. Do you remember what you rated it? I feel like you rated it 4
I
from
think I gave
before.
it 4, but
I know it's
I thought it
short.
was great. Yeah, it's a little shorter, but I agree with you. I'd recommend it to really anyone who has even a remote interest in reading ancient history, and especially like you said, I think it's a good angle, to get that side of it and understand kinda his importance, in Roman history, so, yeah, it's a great book, man.
It was so good, especially Audible. If someone's going to do Audible and they're looking for something quick, I mean, I think probably reading it you get more out of it for sure. And I wish I would have, but I mean, it was just such a quick, easy grab. The best book that I read this month is "Say Nothing: A True Story of Murder and Memory in Northern Ireland" by Patrick Keefe. And man, this book was so good.
Yeah, it's
Five
really good.
stars. It's got 160,000 ratings, 4.47. Um, and this was the first book I read, just kind of getting on track to just know more about Ireland. I mean, I just didn't. I'm just so ignorant. Like, this is like one of those side quest things, which is probably super disrespectful if someone from Northern Ireland hears that. But it's just like as an American, like we just don't really know about what's going on over there. And it's like, dude, this really wasn't that long ago. Dude, it was in the 70s.
Yeah,
The,
one
the
long
troubles were
yeah,
happening. And dude, just I've heard of the IRA, and especially with like certain movies, like it's a classic. If it's James Bond or whatever kind of spy movie, it's like the bad guys are going to be like Albanians or Russians or like people
mhm,
in the IRA. So it's like
yeah,
your stigma bad guy. And again, not to say they didn't do anything bad, but it's just this book, Say Nothing, gives you such an interesting perspective to see the intricacies of what's going on and how I mean, there's just a lot of bad players and things, but it's just some of the ideas of like what they're trying to fight for. It's like, yeah, I mean, I get it. Is that
yeah,
the right approach? No, but it's just you know,
yeah.
and dude, just some of the like the hunger. Uh, what was I just lost the word? Hunger. They like don't eat. What is that?
The hunger
Hunger
strike?
strike was
Mhm.
crazy, dude, and
Yeah, yeah, it
some of
was.
these sisters and just some of the things that they were doing just solely to get attention from the UK is just wild. There's a couple other ones I'm going to want to read. There's one that focuses more on the attempted assassination of Margaret Thatcher, which is kind of briefly mentioned a little bit in this book, but they don't like go super deep into this. But just the premise of this book, man, a lot of the sources being exposed from essentially like a Boston college like guy just wanting to make sure he captured the stories of the troubles and like one of the
Yeah,
themes or not themes but one of the big things within the IRA community and I think it's probably just an Ireland thing anyways people just don't really talk about other people's businesses like that's just not like the whole snitch culture is not a thing over there
yeah,
and so
yeah,
someone like under the good faith of like academia like collecting stories and promising them like none of this will get released until everyone's dead and then obviously that not happening and so then it kind of exposes a lot of people who were clearly in the IRA but
yeah,
great book I couldn't recommend this book enough it's such a fast read um and I mean a lot of just direct excerpts from people Um, and it's one of those crazy things. It's just kind of really a more modern history, but those
Yeah, I
are
agree.
my tree. So we'll
Yeah.
see. I'm curious to know what I'll read next nonfiction, but
Yeah,
good
same.
book.
We
Good book.
gotta end the year out strong, but yeah, that's a great book. It was 2020 when I read Say Nothing, so I mean, my memory of the
Dang,
specifics is so vague, but you talking about the hunger strike just kind of turned a light bulb on that's been off for years, and it reminded me of some of the just wild stuff from that book. So yeah,
bro, they did
it's
some
a good one.
crazy stuff strike wise, all
Yeah,
just for the sake of being able to wear their own clothes, basically in
yeah,
prison. It's
yeah.
just like certain simple things, but anyway. Now to talk about the two books we did read together, which were the two most anticipated reads this year. Um,
So let's so
which
I
yeah,
want so
let's
we're gonna go from least to better, even though I mean we'll talk about it. Which one are you gonna say
dude,
is
this
worse
is
than the
tough.
other?
I'm gonna be honest. Like I think after we read the second one, I thought I knew if you were to ask me this. And dude, honestly, now that I think about it, I think I have a hot take maybe brewing.
So do you think it's just for you and I? Do you think it's the first one we read or the second one that's worse?
I think the second one might be worse, dude.
Wow, really?
Dude, which is
I
a
could see
bold
it.
take.
I
I'll
could
do
see
my
it
best
though.
to defend it. Yeah.
Well, let's okay. Well, I guess we kind of have to say both, right?
Let's just talk about the first one first, and then we
Okay,
can
okay.
go
Fair
through and
enough.
say
Fair
which
enough.
ones.
Fair enough.
So the first book we read, or well, and it's just because it came out before the other, is Empire of the Dawn. So Jesse and I did I'd read the first two already. I convinced Jesse to get on it, which was a tough sell at first, just visually with how these books look. If you're just a dude who's not into like non-dude things, but the
Romanticy or
first two
something.
books are insanely good, so good. And this book was still like it's just so funny like to go back and I watched a little bit of our review that we did of Empire of the Dawn, and it starts off like, was this book 5 stars? And then like by the end of it, we ended up both rating this 3 stars. um
Yeah.
but
So are you saying that this one's better than the next one or no?
I am,
Okay. So okay.
which, to be fair, these were both big letdowns. Like I don't want to
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
say
we can't
anything.
sugarcoat it. We were
Yeah,
disappointed in both. So if I really think about it, I would have to agree with you. And obviously, we have full non-spoiler and spoiler reviews on both of these books, so we won't go into it deep. But I agree with you that so this book, which is book 3 in a trilogy, most of it, like a large percentage of this book was awesome.
yes, yes.
With the next one we'll talk about, it was a smaller percentage, even though the things I dislike about Empire of the Dawn are more egregious,
Oh, way more.
way more
Yes, yes,
egregious
yes,
than the
yes.
next one. Empire of the Dawn has much less of it.
Yeah.
So it's a small
And I will
percentage.
say the next book is The Strength of the Few, which, to be fair to Strength of the Few, it's only the second book in a series. Whereas we had,
Yes.
just previously read, 1,400 pages, probably 1,500 pages in the two books before Empire of the Dawn. So to be like, obviously we're being non spoilers, but I think it's fair to say, and I think if anyone who like has looked a little bit, Empire of the Dawn has one of the most jarring endings I've read ever. And that
Yeah.
ending, some people are liking, and I've gotten into
Yeah.
some arguments with people that do like it. I think I could speak for both of us and say we didn't like it at all. So we love the world and we love the characters. The ending, for me, I'll just speak for me then, is the further and further I get removed from it, it just feels lazy. I don't like it really at all. And that's really all I can say about it before we really go too far. But what are your thoughts on that?
So I agree with you for the most part. I again to reiterate, most of the book is awesome, but the end is jarring. I think you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. But what happened I say that, but then at the same time, and I said this in our full review, part of me, especially when I first read it, was almost hyped up about it because it
Yeah.
was so insane that I just could not believe it was happening. But then the further I got away from it, I thought, because as you start to think of that moment in context of the entire book and the entire trilogy, it starts to become a major disappointment because it felt like it could have gone so many other directions. And we are the minority still on this. It's got a 4.70 out of 5 stars currently with just under 3,000 ratings, which is a small sample size. But, it seems like a lot of people are really loving it and happy about it, which again, I can understand,
Yeah.
but it just felt a little cheapened. And I think I think seeds were laid to where it's excusable in the context of the trilogy, but just barely. But it's not enough for me. It's too egregious. It takes too much away, in my opinion. And yeah, we can't really say anything without spoiling it. But what's
I will
crazy, we
say,
both did say we'd still recommend reading this series, and I did
oh,
to
for sure.
Jake the other day. He asked me, "Would you still tell me to read it?" And I said yes. But I think I told him, I'm pretty sure I said yes because I think you will like the majority of it, but yes, also because I just wanna see your reaction when you
Yeah.
finish this series.
Well, what's crazy is the first 2 books were so good.
So
And then
good.
again, like you
5
said,
stars.
a lot of the I mean, there were some slower parts in the very beginning of book 3. Um,
Mhm.
but I mean, it was still great. I mean, it's just I really liked the characters, the world, like, and it was sad. I think part of it was I was sad the world was ending, and it wasn't the ending I wanted. So it's more just
Right.
more of a me thing for sure. Like that's
Yeah.
not the ending I wanted, and it's but yeah, I would still recommend this because the first 2 books were. I mean, this was on pace to be like it was already in my top 10. I think it was going to be in my top 5, and now it's not. But still,
Yeah.
the first 2 books were so good. But
And the
I do
thing is
think,
they were so good, and also, like, I can concede that a lot of people may not dislike the way things end up the way you and I do. So I especially wouldn't wanna tell someone not to read it, knowing that they could very well like it even more than you and I do in its entirety. So, yeah, I would still highly recommend this
yeah,
book.
I will say that the problems that happen in Empire of the Dawn are not the same problems for Strength of the Few.
No, no, not at
So
all.
I will say, like James Islington or Islington, however you say, like I trust him a lot more to finish a
Yeah,
series than I do now Jay Kristoff, and that's fine.
yeah,
But I guess to segue into Strength of the Few, I also rated this 3 stars. It's got 4.48 on Goodreads, 8,000 reviews already. Second book, we both rated the first book 5 stars, right?
mhm,
You rated
yeah.
5. Um,
Yeah, and I still
what are
gave this
your
one
first
4,
thoughts on
which
this?
yeah, so I still
Did
gave
I?
Strength a few 4, but I
Oh, I gave it 4 as well. Sorry, I lied.
but when we talked about it, we actually had a commenter clown us, and they
Yeah,
were correct. It sounded like we were talking about a book that we didn't like at a 4 star out of 5 level. And maybe we're wrong. We've talked ad nauseum on this show about the fact that we're not very consistent, not very good at our rating system. So part of me feels like I still gave this 4 stars because of what you just said. The fact that I trust James Islington so much because I love the Lycanius trilogy. It's one of my favorite trilogies of all time. And the
yeah,
ending
solid.
specific like in particular is the best ending I've ever read, I think. That and Mistborn are
Yeah,
like my favorite endings ever. Um, and I think I like Lycanius even more. Um, the Strength of the Few, it's a middle book that feels like the second half of a first book almost. Like, it feels like
yeah,
there's a lot of setup for the end, which I don't know if I'm sure you did because you see more of it than I do. The one person commented that Islington did confirm that it's 4 books. So
yeah,
we went into that thinking it was a trilogy and that there was only 1 book left. Knowing there's 4 books total, it makes even more sense, but again, it still feels like we're just in the beginning based on the way this book plays out. I understand that
yeah.
the first book was its own isolated story, but the second book just not enough happens. It feels like it's a little too long, but I still really enjoyed it. There were some mad aura farming moments with a few of the characters. There was, I think, one of the things that disappointed us both the most. That there was a very shocking moment that didn't feel earned. Um, but again, dude, I would still recommend this series. Now, I
Oh, for
would,
sure.
I would, what's the word I'm looking for? I would also tell someone I was looking for something better than I would also tell someone, but anyway, I would also tell someone to just read Lycanius first and then jump into the Hierarchy trilogy
No.
or saga, whatever I should say. But yeah, man, it wasn't good as the first book, which is a rarity for me. I don't know if you feel this way, but I almost
Yeah,
always like the second book more than the first book.
I agree. I
Um,
agree.
but again, I still trust Islington,
I
knowing that
do
there's
I
2
do
more
think this
books.
isn't for everyone though. Whereas I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah,
more people, I don't know. Do you think more people would like Empire of the Vampire like series as for what's
yeah,
out now? Like
yeah.
I
I
just feel
think
like it's
more
more
people would like that.
accessible maybe. This
Yeah, it
is
does
I
feel
will
more
say you have to
accessible.
lock in. You got to lock in on this. You got to kind of earn this read. And I
Yeah.
had heard other people say too cuz it was like I remember after we read the first book at the beginning of this year, it wasn't even that long ago, And I remember I was like, I don't even remember the main character's name. Like I had to go back and watch a lot of content to like remember what happened. And it's like, I guess that happens slowly over time with certain stuff, but usually you at least remember some stuff. Like I almost didn't remember anything. And then once I
Yeah.
started watching stuff, it came back. But I don't know. It's something about the writing of this storyline that is really cool, but like it's somehow hard to like just remember for me.
Yeah, and I think some of that we talked about a lot of the words, and we've had some commenters kind of clarify or at least theorize what things are a parallel to in real life, and it makes sense, but I'm not familiar with those dialects, languages, cultures, whatever. So a lot of the names are kind of tough and therefore hard to remember. But I agree, you do have to lock in a little more. The Empire of the Vampire series is more character and plot and action,
Yeah.
whereas the Hierarchy also adds in the politics. It's a very political series, which we enjoyed a little more in the first book, but still really enjoyed it in the second book. But there's that political aspect, and then
The
the
second one's a
magic.
lot of world building.
It's
It
that too,
feels
but it
like.
also has this whole, which there's a little bit in Empire with a magic system and lore, but
Yeah.
in the Hierarchy, like it's I don't know if you can call it a hard magic system, but it's at least hard for me to learn. So
Yeah.
I don't know if it's softer. Well, I'm not gonna finish that sentence, but jeez, dude, I've got to get my mind out of the gutter.
Get it
Dude,
out,
I
dude.
hate
Get it
myself.
out.
I hate Jesse in the comments, everybody. L Jesse, common L. But yeah, it was a little disappointing. I'm still gonna be reading this series the day the books come out.
Agreed.
But I would have to agree. It's so tough, man. I don't know which one I'm actually disappointed in more. Like I think it still might be Empire, even though that
I think
book.
I am. I'm more disappointed in Empire for sure.
Yeah, so I think that, you know,
It's a weird.
I think the strength of the few is the lesser of the two.
So
You know what I'm
you
saying?
liked.
No, I'm saying
So
I'm
you
sorry.
like.
No, Empire. I messed it up. That wasn't. God, dude, I hate myself. No, Empire of the Dawn is the lesser of the
See,
two.
I still think that I like enjoyment wise. I liked Empire of the Dawn more than I liked The Strength of the Few. I
That's
think
probably
the
true,
ending.
bro. But
You
in
know what I mean?
hindsight, yes, I would agree with you.
Like I'm
But in
gonna remember The
hindsight,
Strength of
it's
the Dawn for
tough.
the rest of my life. I'm gonna be honest. The Strength of the Few. It hadn't even been that long, dude, and it's already. I mean,
It's starting to.
it's sinking through the hands fast, dude.
Yeah,
So it's just, I'm not I mean, and it's still good. It's just, bro, the ending. There's some choices James made that just feel again, and I can't even really say anything compared to Christoph, who makes arguably the. But it's just because he only made one decision that was bad, in my opinion. Whereas there's so many decisions where James is like, "What are you doing?" And it's
but if you
just
were really
again,
gonna
it's
do
the
the
second
math
book,
on it, the one thing that Christoph did
dude. We gotta stop. We
affected
gotta stop.
so many
You
things
can't.
that it's like,
You can't
is
say
it
that.
like? It's just so egregious.
I agree. They're both left us wanting more. I would say that.
Yeah. So overall, my favorite book was Ghost Soldiers by Hampton Sides. Yours was Say Nothing by Patrick
Yeah.
Raddenkeefe. Um, the big two, again, probably our most anticipated new releases of the year, both in the same month. We were excited.
Wow.
We hit them back to back because
Grinded
we
for
started
the
both of them
people.
the day they came out, um, and they were both in different ways a disappointment
They were.
um,
And dude,
overall.
I haven't had a single release this year hit. Not
That's
one.
tough.
I read
That's
The
tough.
Devils. That was hot trash. And
What's
then
crazy, dude, is we started this year with Lightbringer by Red Rising. Like we started on such a high because if you don't know this, like Red Rising is our favorite series at It's Lit Book Reviews as far as sci-fi goes, sci-fi fantasy, whatever. And I mean that was the second book of the year that I read. I believe the same for you. So, we
yeah,
kind of it was all downhill from there. We should have known.
should have
Isn't that
known.
crazy to think, man? This year's almost
That feels
over.
so long ago. It
Did we
is.
start this year with that tournament? Was that this year? Or was that last year?
No, no,
No, that
no, no.
was
That
March
was
Madness. That was this year.
no, it wasn't. Dude, March
No, it was
Madness,
last
bro. That
year.
was 2 years
You're right.
ago. That
No, it
wasn't
was
even
last
last.
year. Really?
Was that last year?
Am I
Dude,
under
I
the
don't know. We
influence? It
blocked
was
out.
last year at least.
Dude, It was, I think, at least last year. Dude, that was a bad time in my
It
life.
definitely wasn't
So,
this year.
oh
Yeah, that's on
man,
me. I struggle with time. But anyway, so that's November for us. Let us know what you read this month, favorites, least favorites. I mean, let us
look
know what
forward
you
to
think about
December.
anything, I guess, in the comments.
I am
That's
curious
what
to know
it's
what
there
people are
for.
reading now that those books are out. Like, what are people catching up on? Because I don't think there's really any new releases for the rest of this year. So, as far as I know,
And it's interesting to see that Empire came out a week before Strength of the Few, but Strength of the Few already has about 3 times as many ratings. So it's just
yeah,
kinda we had talked about that. I guess that's, people know that, but it's just more popular, which is interesting.
it is. But I'm hyped. We'll hit some Wheel of Time here soon. I'm gonna read a couple more books on Ireland and Northern Ireland. Maybe we'll do Hyperion book 2 or something. I know we'll eventually hit. I
Dude,
mean,
when
we'll
you said
be.
the other day that you were thought maybe we should read Hyperion book 2, I was like, I mean, what? I couldn't believe it. I mean, I know you didn't hate the book, but you you did not seem like you had any desire to continue. So, I mean, I'm game, dude. I'll pull up on Gang and read
I
Hyperion
feel like
too,
that'd be a
but
quick one to finish. So that's the only reason why. Not the only, but I mean, I'm interested to know because anyway, we won't go into a Hyperion rant. We have a video
yeah,
on that. 6 chapters. That's all I have to say. 500 pages.
gotta love it. All right, well, unsubscribe, dislike. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.